Strategies for Developing Listening and Speaking Skills by Angeli Santiago Marquez. Presentation. This virtual learning object shows important aspects that a teacher should take into account when designing listening and speaking activities used in face-to-face and virtual environments. Objectives. 1. Show the importance of listening and speaking activities in EFL learning. To present strategies for designing listening and speaking activities. Show tips to develop activities that can be used in face-to-face and virtual learning environments. Listening materials. Listening as a receptive skill is considered the oral skill, which is the primary ability developed in first language acquisition. Effective listening materials should: first, incorporate bottom-up and top-down processing. Bottom-up processing typically focuses on sounds, words, intonation, grammatical structures, and other components of spoken language. On the other hand, top-down processing moves from the whole to the parts. It happens when listeners bring their background knowledge to the test. Effective listening materials should provide exposure to different types of listening, such as intensive, selective, iterative, extensive, responsive, and autonomous listening. Be based on authentic recordings. Improve learners' listening comprehension, not testing it, and helps learners to understand real-life language. Listening activities for face-to-face environments. Tips. The listening test is brief, 1 to 3 minutes. The purpose for listening is identified and shared with learners. The listening test is supported by visual clues. The listening activity requires a response that indicates comprehension of the listening cue, or is intermittent with oral clues, not just at the end of the listening, as simple, easy to complete. Listening activities for virtual environments. Tips. Give the children confidence. We should not expect them to always understand every word, and they should know this. 2. Explain why the children have to listen. Make sure the learners are clear about why they are listening, what the main point of purpose of the activity is. 3. Help children develop specific strategies for listening. An important strategy that the teacher should teach is intelligence guesswork. Students have to use drawing on their background knowledge to work out something they are not sure of. Set a specific listening task. I try to think of listening in 3 stages: pre-listening, while listening, post-listening, and have activities for each stage. And listening does not have to rely on the availability of a cassette or pre-recorded materials. Most listening is the teacher talk. Speaking materials. A principal methodology for teaching speaking needs to take into account the nature of the psycholinguistic and affective challenge the learner face. It is generally recognized that There are three possible for speaking activities: accuracy, fluency, and complexity. When designing activities, we need to consider where our priority lies in terms of accuracy, fluency, and complexity as specific phases of the planned activity, and how learners can best be prepared for each phase. We need to motivate learners to speak in English and give them the means to do it. Not easy, but when it works, it is one of the best feelings in teaching. Speaking activities for face-to-face environments. Drills. Using drills, the teacher has a lot of control over what the learner says. They must respond to the teacher or each other. The learner must answer correctly and according to a precise pattern. Information gap activities. In these activities, students are supposed to be working in pairs. One student will have the information that the other partner does not have, and the partners will share the information. Speaking activities for virtual environments. Discussion activities. These kind of activities give learners the opportunity to speak more freely and express themselves. It is helpful to structure a discussion activity by giving learners enough information about what they will be talking about and giving them enough time to think about what they want to say. Examples of these kind of activities: surveys, ranking activities, planning, discussing and solving problems, and debates. Conclusions. Listening is an active process as the mind actively engages in making meaning. It is therefore our duty as teachers to ensure that the materials we use are comprehensible to our young learners, as well as within the range of what they are developmentally ready for. Speaking is a complex skill, and our materials need to reflect this. It is such a demanding skill that activities need to be designed to provide scaffolding for the learners so that they begin the activity with confidence. Reference: Magdan J. Safiri and Timis. Materials for the Speaking.